change as news of a new kid spreads throughout the land. In order to save the humans, the Grand Wizard must get to the new kid.
What's up guys, welcome back to another video, and today we are finding which Cartman is the best card in the game. So I was originally going to do my card spotlight, so essentially it's going to be 4 videos with just showing off like what the Cartman can do, but at this point in the game I think majority of people know what they can do, but still I should give my opinion on what I think is better. And plus kind of going to make it to like a fun little series with like rankings and like kind of like graphics in the video, so it should look appealing. Okay, so if you did go and enjoy this video, please like button and subscribe, because these videos are going to probably take a bit of while to make, so we won't have them every couple of days, but maybe like once a week, but we'll see how it goes. Okay, so the first person to enter the ring is Sheriff Cartman. Sheriff Cartman is the first Cartman you unlock, so probably one of the easiest to level up. But what does he do? His special ability is called Tantrum, which he gets his 2 pistols out and does area damage, which will insta-kill any rats, pigeon gangs, any weak units, which is really effective against the high players who use rats and pigeons in their deck. Now let's take a look at his stats. Sheriff Cartman costs 4 mana, is a rare card, has 376 health at level 1, and can go all the way past 1000 at max level 4, which is the first Cartman you unlock at rank level 1. So getting him is pretty easy. But his max speed is 45 units, which is actually the fastest Cartman in the game, which really affects his gameplay since he will be crossing the line before any other Cartmans. It takes 7.5 seconds to actually fully charge his ability, and his normal hits do around 16 damage. At base level 1 it can go up to 53 at max level 4. So far Cartman is looking pretty tanky, but his movement speed is really dragging him back. Now Sheriff Cartman is a rare, so leveling him up and also finding him is pretty hard, but currently not many people have been using him, so requesting him you're probably going to likely to get to level 4 pretty quick. And believe me, at level 4 max he is pretty deadly. But regardless of what level you are, if someone does use a unholy combustion or any one-hit kills, you would have a 1 mana advantage against him, since the one-hit kills normally cost around 5 mana. But overall, this Cartman does look pretty tanky, and he's going to be placed number 1 right now for our spot, while we review the other guys. The next Cartman we're going to review is actually Awesomeo, which is probably one of the favourites, as it had its own episode and it was pretty funny, and a lot of people do seem to enjoy it. But what does Awesomeo do? His charge ability will freeze the enemies near him, meaning that he'll be able to attack, and also you're able to spawn your units in and get a couple hits off before they get unfrozen. This is actually an exceptionally good power against any headhunters, especially Slav Marvin, since people don't really have a lot of, but if they do and they're dead, then Cartman's ability and your tower's new kid will actually do a lot of damage towards him, since he won't be able to attack. But let's actually look at his stats and see what he does. Awesomeo 4000 actually costs 5 mana, it's an epic rarity, it has 601 HP at level 1 and 21 attack, which if you scale it up, it does actually do more damage than the Sheriff Cartman. His max speed is actually 27 units, so you're able to build up more of a push rather than Sheriff Cartman. His charge ability does cost 10 seconds, but the freeze ability does stop him, so you're able to charge a bit more while they are stunned, and also leveling up your Awesomeo 4000 will actually increase the time they're stunned for. So definitely an ability that's actually pretty useful at high levels. Now if we actually look at max level 3, which typically people do run a lot of max level 3 epics. He has 1216 health and 46 attack, which if you compare it to Sheriff Cartman is a lot more health and also more damage for the 1 extra cost. But since this guy is more tanky, people will typically skip him and use any one-hit kill on him. Just because you cost 5, you're technically getting a 0-0 trade. And you've lost your tank, so you're kind of screwed for a tank a bit. If they do a hard push, you can't really place someone down. But where would he place in the rankings? Let's see. Because of his cost and his usability, and honestly his abilities are pretty weak at certain points, I'm going to actually say that he's going to go to 2nd spot, which is behind Sheriff Cartman. Just because I think even with the freeze, they still have if they have rats or pigeons, they're not really going to do anything to them. They will be unfrozen and actually attack your tank again, so once again you have a hard push against and you wasted your tank. Next Cartman is actually the third Cartman you unlock, and it is part of the mythical theme, and it's everyone's favourite, Zen Cartman. Zen Cartman is actually a special one, since he is one of the first Cartmans that actually don't do any damage. His main ability is just to take up damage and let other people attack, which is actually a very supportive and defensive way of playing. Okay, so Zen Cartman's ability is actually to attract people to attack him, meaning if anyone's near and trying to slide past Zen Cartman, he's able to attract him in and also take all the damage. Meaning your fighters and assassins can just slide past and clear out the mobs, since they're not going to get attacked unless they spawn another troop down. Therefore, Zen Cartman actually have to use his ability again. However, his ability can be purified, so people can actually still counterplay him. Now let's have a look at his stats and see what he actually does. Zen Cartman, his mana cost is actually 3, which is the cheapest of all Cartmans. He is a rare rarity, has 600 HP at level 1, his max speed is 32, so he is quicker than Awesome 4000, but is also slower than Sheriff Cartman, so did count against him. He actually doesn't do any damage, meaning he's going to have a lot more health since he's just a tank just to take damage. And actually Zen Cartman has one of the strongest mythical teams right now with Freya, Jimmy and Angel Wendy just keeping him alive and doing an amazing amount of damage and also healing. Now Zen Cartman's ability does come back every 5 seconds, which means he can keep on using it pretty quickly. And his actual animation for the charge ability does take quite a while, so placing Zen Cartman and using ability straight away can really give you a big push and actually stack up a lot of mana since he only costs 3. But if we compare him to a max level 4, which is what you see in Legendary and in pretty much high level PvP, at level max level 4, Zen Cartman has 1,733 health, meaning it will take a truck to take this guy out. Now, people do actually use the one-hit kills in him since they don't want to deal with his ability, which is actually beneficial since the one-hit kills do cost 5, so you'll be at a 2 mana advantage. Now, he isn't rare, so leveling up this guy will be kind of easy, but he is sought after pretty much, so actually trying to request him in parties will be unlikely since everyone's trying to use him. But let's see where he goes in the ranking, and because of his low cost and potential ability in any deck really, I'm going to say he can be actually go in front of Sheriff Cartman and Awesome, making him first place, Sheriff Cartman second and Awesome third. Now the last card with the review is the last card you actually unlock, which is actually at rank 15, and this is Grand Wizard Cartman. He is a legendary rarity, so finding this guy is pretty rare. But let's see what his ability does. Like the other Cartmans, as Grand Wizard Cartman does have a charged ability, which is a magical slam, which actually does take some time in the animation to actually slam. What he does is he slams his stick on the floor, doing area damage to air and bottom troops, also knocking them back and also stunning them. So it is a ability of Sheriff Cartman and Awesome 4000's ability combined in one, but kind of shorter. Now the difference is that Awesome's ability you can actually prolong the actual stun. Sheriff Cartman's ability's stun is always the same, but the only difference is that you can actually increase the damage. But let's actually look at his stats and see what he does. Now Grandman is actually one of my favourite Cartmans and the Cartman I actually use for the time being. He does cost 6. He's legendary rarity, so finding him is pretty hard. Now since he is hard to actually level up, his base health on level 1 is 1026, higher than all the Cartmans at level 1. His max speed is 27 units, which is tied for the slowest Cartman, meaning you can kind of build up a push. His normal hits do 26 damage and actually knock him back, so assassins won't be able to go hard on him. With the right deck and the right support, you're actually able to take advantage of this and actually do some damage towards him. His charge ability does take 10 seconds, meaning that you can't just keep on using it. It is perfect against rats and any assassins really, especially against assassins since there is weight mechanics in the game, so typically they get knocked back to the side if they're in the middle and will start pushing towards your tower, meaning that you're able to take them out without them doing any damage to your Cartman. His radius actually is pretty big, the biggest out of all Cartmans, meaning you're able to stun people trying to run around him. But like always, if you look at his max level 2 stats, which typically you'll see people using them like this, if you have him at max level 1, it's not really useful. You're probably likely to use another Cartman, but at level 2 he's more viable. He has 1367 health and 37 damage. His slam does actually go all the way up to 50, and because of his range, you're actually able to hit Terrence Mephistos, which is actually really useful to do any damage to him since he's a flying unit. But he also does have some drawbacks, which is his cost. He costs 6, meaning you actually be at a disadvantage if anyone uses any one-hit kills. He also isn't very useful with his power bind since his main charge ability is what makes him good. But with all that being covered, we are now going to put him into a ranking, and because of his movement speed, his range and also his ability, I'm actually going to put him second in the leaderboards, meaning Sheriff Cartman is dropping down to 3, Awesome is 4th, and Zen Cartman is actually number 1. And personally, I think a lot of people can agree with this list. Maybe not with Grand Wizard Cartman, but since I've been using him, he actually is very viable. I can think everyone can agree with Zen Cartman being first, just because his ability is so powerful and his health is just outrageous. But that's it. The card showdown and Zen Cartman has came out on top. Definitely the best Cartman. Hopefully that can be changed because I like to see people not use just him. If you have made it to the end of the video, please let me know in the comments on what card I should do next. So it's either going to be Kenny's, Stan, or Kyle's. Just let me know in the comments who you want to see. And as always, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please hit that like button and subscribe, turn notifications on, and thanks for watching. Peace.